Alright, so how do you actually play Thunderpwn? Let's look to the rulebook to find out. As soon as you take the top of the box off, you'll be greeted with this. This is the arena. You peel that away and the rulebook is directly underneath. Underneath the rulebook is everything you'll need. Once you open the rulebook, you'll notice it gets right to the point. So, to start a new game, lay the arena flat on the table. Check. Shuffle the melee, strategy, and weapon cards into their own separate decks, and put the decks face down next to the pink, blue, and green sides respectively. Pink, blue, and green. Next, 2 to 6 players choose a character mini and place it in a starting space of their choice inside the arena. Starting spaces are noted with numbered die pips. I think we want Foxy Cleo here, and she'll be fighting Lunk here. Each player puts their character card and dry erase marker next to the table, next to their starting space. So here we go. That's Lunk. And that's Foxy Cleo. I'm gonna get a couple of dry erase markers. Good to go. Let's put them down here. Deal 1 weapon card to each player face up, and then 3 more to the 3 uncolored sides of the arena. The 3 weapon cards on the sides of the arena can be picked up by players after the game begins. So Foxy Cleo gets a Molotov cocktail. You go, girl. And Lunk gets a rock in the sock. It doesn't sound like much, but believe me, it's good. And the 3 uncolored sides of the arena, we have a syringe. That's good. We have an iron pipe. And we have a tire. This would already start to look like a good game. Each player draws 3 action cards into their hand. Players can split their action card draw between strategy and melee cards, however they choose. So Foxy Cleo is going to take 3 strategy cards into her hand, while Lunk is going to take 2 melee cards and a strategy card into his hand. Each player rolls the 6-sided dice. The player who rolled the highest takes the first turn. Foxy Cleo rolls a 2. Lunk rolls a 6. Looks like Lunk's going first, and that's how you set up a game of Thunderpwn. Alright, following the rulebook, let's look at some key concepts of Thunderpwn. So, winning and losing. In Thunderpwn, a player wins the game by being the last one alive inside the arena. Conversely, a player loses when they die. Players will use weapon cards and melee cards, that would be the pink ones, to attack and deal damage to each other. Strategy cards, the blue ones, and character abilities and attributes are used to assist in their offense and defense. Damage and health bars. Players have 3 health bars. Damage removes health bars. In Thunderpwn, there are 3 types of damage: flesh wounds, dismembered limbs, and mortal wounds. Each damage type has a certain value to remove 1 health bar. The health bars are the 3 colored boxes across the top. It takes 5 flesh wounds to remove 1 health bar, 2 dismembers of any kind, arm, leg, arm, arm, or leg, leg, to remove a health bar, and every mortal wound is 1 health bar. Players track their damage and health bar loss on their character card using a dry erase marker. There's 5 flesh wounds, that's 1 health bar. At the start of each turn, simply wipe the character card clean to start fresh. If I had the ability to do that with my one hand, I totally would. In fact, why don't we do this? There we go. Whoop, it didn't even do it. The ink is still wet. I promise it works in real life. There we go. And we'll just remove those to start fresh. Thunderpwn is played in a hexagon board called the arena. Inside the arena, players move their character mini, pick up weapons, and declare attacks against one another. The arena is divided up into hexagon spaces. Each space is 1 movement, and also 1 unit of range. Players can easily determine the number of spaces leading, easily determine range and movement by counting the number of spaces leading from their space to the target space. No more than 1 player may ever occupy a single space inside the arena at a given time. So Foxy Cleo is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 movement to his space, if she could get into it, but also 8 range. During gameplay, players control a visible character that is comprised of their character mini inside the arena, and their character card and weapon cards, which are kept face up on the table. But players also have a hand that is kept hidden from other players. The hand consists of action cards, which is melee and strategy cards. The idea being that opposing players can see who you are, what character you're playing, where you are inside the arena, and what weapons you're holding, but they can't see what tactics you're planning. The character card tracks damage, shows opposing players who's controlling what character mini inside the arena, and it tracks the use of the character ability or attribute. It is kept face up on the table in front of the controlling player. Weapon cards are reusable cards that deal damage and effects to opposing players. They are kept face up on the table to the left or right of the character card. Weapon cards require arms to use, and dismembered arm damage reduces a player's capacity to hold and use weapon cards. Both of these weapons are one-handed. They're also in the small category of cards, of weapon cards that are limited use 1, which means when they're declared, they discard right away. Most weapons are not that. Go figure. Action cards consist of melee and strategy cards. They are one-time use cards that allow players to plan a tactical offense and defense against opposing players. They're held in a player's hand, which is kept hidden from opposing players. 2 action cards are drawn at the start of every player's turn, and players can have a maximum of 5 cards in their hand before being forced to discard. Those are the key concepts of Thunderpwn. In Thunderpwn, the mechanical gameplay for all player actions follows a set order. That order is declare, respond, and resolve. In other words, the player action or card must first come into play. That's declaring. Then all opposing players may choose to react to it. That's responding. Before it succeeds or fails. That's resolving. It will resolve by succeeding or failing based on opposing player interference or your own stupidity. Okay, moving to gameplay now, looking at cards. Action card function. To declare an action card, these are the ones in your hand, place it face up on the table above your character card. The action card remains here until it resolves. When an action card resolves, it is discarded into the proper discard pile, or if it gives an effect that lasts a turn, you move it below the character card to track the effect, and then discard it at the end of the turn. Players can have up to 5 action cards in their hand before they're being forced to discard. Players are always allowed to complete their full draw before being forced to discard if over 5 cards. Declare melee cards during your turn to attack opposing players, and when it's not your turn, to counter incoming attacks. We'll see that later. Declare strategy cards during your turn to assist in your offense, and when it's not your turn, to assist in your defense. Character cards. Character cards grant abilities and attributes. Attributes are always active. Lunk has an attribute. But abilities can be declared during gameplay. Foxy Cleo has an ability. To declare an ability, turn the character card sideways. The ability cannot be declared again until the character card resets. Character cards only reset at the start of that player's next turn. To reset the character card, turn the card right side up again. Weapon cards. Weapon cards are reusable cards that can be comboed with melee cards to attack multiple times in one turn. To declare a weapon card, turn the card sideways. The weapon card cannot be declared again until it resets. And the weapon card resets at the start of that player's next turn, or anytime that character declares a melee card that succeeds. Failed melee cards do not reset weapons. Simply declaring a melee card does not reset the weapon. A declared melee card that succeeds, that declares or resets the weapon. To reset the weapon card, turn the card right side up again at the start of that player's next turn, or anytime that player declares a melee card that succeeds. So you want to attack first with weapons, and then attack with melee cards, and try and rinse and repeat to get the most out of your cards. You want to make use of both arms if you have them, and some weapons are limited use, like these, so each time these cards are declared, regardless of how they resolve, one use is consumed from their limited use number, and then when all the uses are gone, they're discarded immediately. Those are the card functions. Alright, looking at the arena. These are the weapon tile spaces. Players enter these and choose to pick up the corresponding card to the weapon tile space. When all 3 weapon cards are picked up, you'll deal 3 more out at the end of that turn, not as soon as they're picked up, at the end of that turn. This space only corresponds to this card. This space only corresponds to this card, and so on and so forth. These are the spiked pits. If a player enters one of these spaces, willingly or not, they immediately roll the pit dice and take the damage shown. That's these dice here. For more info on spike pits, you look at the gameplay section in the back. Go click on our rulebook and take a look. Spike pits are nasty. You don't want to be in them. All right? These are the starting spaces. They're numbered, or they're noted by numbered die pips, and players start the game in these spaces. And they also respawn in them during alternate gameplay modes. So when your character dies and your turn comes back around, you would roll, and they would respawn in the 5th space over here. Okay? That's 5. It would be that 5 right there. We do have spawn kills where if she had rolled a 4 and Lunk was in that space and she spawned in it, see ya, Lunk. She just killed you from a spawn kill. Okay? Alright. Range. Each space in the arena is 1 movement and or 1 range. All cards and abilities that target opposing players have a max range. They're shown in the range icon on a card. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up, but in the rulebook the range icon is shown. You can see this range icon here underneath the title of the tire, that small hexagon. Whoop. The target player must be within that range inside the arena, otherwise the declared card or ability immediately fails. That's what I meant by your own stupidity sometimes. Sometimes things resolve unsuccessfully because you effed up and you didn't do it right. You try to hit somebody with a syringe from all the way over here, right? Or in this case, a Molotov cocktail. It can only go 5 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can't hit Lunk from there. You gotta get a little bit closer to chuck that thing, okay? All right. Range is used inside the arena to gain the advantage against opposing players. The further away players are, the less options they're going to have in both offense and defense. Cards and abilities target players, not spaces. Players trying to move out of range of a declared attack must move completely out of range of that declared attack. Otherwise, it will still target them in the new space they move to. Key thing to remember. Range can be counted through occupied spaces, but movement cannot, and the direction players face inside the arena doesn't mean anything. Okay, let's look at taking your turn. Players take turns in a clockwise order, starting with the player who rolled the highest. This is the time to be the aggressor. During a player's turn, they replenish their cards, and they choose where to move and who to attack. Each turn is 4 phases. Phase 1 is reset, Phase 2 is draw, Phase 3 is move and attack, and Phase 4 is end the turn. If you perform the phases out of order, you forfeit the previous phases. Meaning if you forget to reset and draw, and you go right to moving and attacking, you've just forfeited those other 2 things. Okay? Reset. After a player's turn starts, then they can reset their weapon cards and character cards. So if Foxy Cleo had used her weapon and her ability, she would be able to reset that. I know it's Lunk's turn, but it just seemed more appropriate to do over here. To declare, turn the cards right side up on the table. Draw. After resetting, then the player can draw 2 action cards into their hand. Simply draw the cards from the top of the pile from the melee or strategy card decks. Remember that you can split your draw anytime you draw action cards between those 2 piles any way you want and add those to your hand. Okay? Good? Moving and attacking. After resetting and drawing, the player can then move and attack. Players get 5 movement per turn. To declare, move your character mini inside the arena and each space is 1 movement. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Declare weapon and melee cards to attack opposing players. Melee card, weapon card. Okay? A player can attack as many times as they want during their turn, but only 1 attack may be declared at a time. The 5 movement may be declared between attacks and other actions, but players cannot declare a movement while they have a declared attack on the table. Meaning, Lunk could go 1, and if there were some people here, beat the crap out of this guy a couple of attacks. 2, 3, maybe there's a guy over here, beat the crap out of this guy. 4 or 5, maybe he's got a ranged weapon and he throws it back at that guy. You can break your movement up between attacks provided you have the cards to do so, but as soon as you declare an attack, you can't go 1, declare an attack, and then this guy tries to respond to it and you're like, no, I get to move, and you move out of range. That doesn't work that way. As soon as you declare an attack, you're cut off from movement until that attack resolves. Any extra movement must come from character abilities and strategy cards. That's any extra movement over your 5, and unused movement does not roll over to your next turn. Ending your turn. A player's turn is over when they are done moving and attacking and being the aggressor. That means you choose when it's over. After it ends, the player to their left begins. Any active effects that were dealt during that turn, from action cards that were moved below the character card, are discarded at this time. And we caution players, don't declare all your cards during your turn. Otherwise, you will have nothing to defend with during opposing players' turns. Strategy cards and character abilities can be used at any phase of a player's turn, but cannot be declared while that player has a declared attack on the table. Similarly to movement. Okay? A player needs to declare strategy cards and character abilities before they declare an attack or after the attack resolves, but not during. Meaning, if Lunk moves over here and he's attacking Foxy Cleo with a weapon card, blammo, let's just say it's this one, boom, he turns it sideways, hell, let's use the one he's got, right? And Foxy Cleo chooses to respond to that. Since he has a declared attack on the table, he can't start buffing it with strategy cards or changing his mind or moving back around. He's committed to that attack. That attack's got to go through and it's got to resolve, and that's where the tactic comes in. I'm sorry. So he's got to be careful when he attacks. Every player does. As soon as you commit to an attack, you're cutting yourself off from some of the other cards that you can use. So you want to be very cautious when you attack. And that is taking your turn. Okay, let's look at what to do when it's not your turn. When a player's turn ends, this is the time to be the defender. They cannot move or choose who to attack, and they must defend with any cards that weren't used during their turn. If a player survives through all opposing players' turns, they get to take another turn. So, countering. Melee and weapon cards can be declared in response to an incoming attack. This is known as countering. When a counter is declared, the opposing attack immediately fails. Opposing players may counter back and forth as many times as they wish, and only the final attack will deal its listed damage and effect. Some caveats to countering is the attacking player must be in range to counter. Only the player being attacked can counter, and only one counter can be declared at a time, just like an attack, only one at a time. Weapon cards must be reset in order to declare a counter with. Successful melee cards that are declared as counters will reset that player's weapon cards, even though it's not their turn. That's a key staple, a good tactic in Thunderpwn. A countered player may declare strategy cards and character abilities again, because if they declare the card and their counter is declared, their attack fails. They're not the one with the counter on the table anymore, or the attack on the table, the opposing player is. So even though they were first to declare an attack, now they can declare strategy cards and character abilities because they no longer have a declared attack on the table. Players can declare strategy cards and or character cards in response to an incoming attack, and then choose to counter if they want to. So, if Lunk attacks Foxy Cleo, and Foxy Cleo thinks that she's got him dead to rights, she can make her attack do, with strategy cards that would be in her hand. Let's assume these are the cards. She can make her attack do double damage, and then she can move to another space in the arena. And let's say she had another one. Again, these are coming out of her hand, theoretically. This one makes it so her attack can't be countered. She could do all of that, and Lunk can't respond because he's got a declared attack. Then she could attack. And that's devastating. We call that baiting in Thunderpwn, where you draw the attack, and then you know you've got a bunch of stuff in your hand. Boom, boom, boom. Your attack blows them up. Gotta watch out for that one. Strategy cards and character abilities. Players can declare strategy cards and character abilities during opposing players' turns to respond to anything the opposing player is trying to do. When declared, strategy cards and character abilities will interrupt an opposing player's gameplay and resolve before the opposing player's declared card or action has a chance to resolve. They're powerful cards. Defending players should declare strategy cards and character abilities with diabolical intent and tactical precision between moments of an opposing player's turn in which those cards will have the greatest negative impact upon what the opposing player is trying to do. Defending players need to declare strategy cards and character abilities before or after the counter because, like attacking, those cards cannot be declared while that player has a declared attack on the table, which includes countering. Now, multiple strategy cards and character abilities can be declared at the same time in response to one another from one or more players. When stacked like that, they're going to resolve in philo order. So the first in is the last one out. They're going to resolve in reverse order. Okay? All right. That's what to do when it's not your turn. Okay, now let's have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to play both characters, which is ridiculous, but we're going to go through the mechanics in real time and see kind of what it's like. Lunk rolled the highest. He gets to go first. He's already drawn his 2 cards, so if I was Lunk and I had these cards, ooh, all right, okay, I would roll up on Foxy Cleo. I've got a rock in the sock that does a lot of damage, and it's 6 spaces away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I got to get 2 spaces here. Boom, boom. I would just open the fight with that. I would plaster her across the face with that rock in the sock. Blammo. It does a mortal wound, which is a health bar, and she's going to lose her next turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're doing it from max range to limit her options, okay? All right, now he's got the declared attack. Foxy Cleo needs to respond. She's going to get hit in the face with a rock in the sock and take damage unless she can respond. What does she have at her hand? Oh, God, always. So great. She had a good draw. Foxy Cleo has a couple of options here. So let's do the most cinematic one. She's going to declare the strategy card Flip in response to his attack. Flip allows her to move 2 spaces. Remember that since he has a declared attack, he can't declare strategy cards or character abilities. Strategies don't counter the attack, they just respond to it. An attack from a melee or weapon card would counter it, and then that would remove it from the table. In this case, she's going to move 2 spaces. Instead of moving away, she's going to move towards him, flipping toward him, and then she's going to declare her counter with her Molotov cocktail. So awesome. So Flip resolves, it would go over here and get discarded in the strategy card discard pile, and now since she declared this attack to counter his would immediately fail and be discarded over here. And now Lunk's got to deal with a mortal wound and knockback damage coming at him. And it's his freaking turn. So let's see what he can do about it. Nope. Nope. Ooh, nope. Nope. Ah, yes, okay. So Lunk can declare in response to that, Iron Man. He can mitigate all damage and effects from up to 3 incoming attacks. And thank God, because that was a lot of damage. So this is active for the rest of his turn. It would go here. Foxy Cleo's attack would be successful. It would resolve successfully, but it would deal no damage in effect. And since Lunk has 3 uses off of that card, he can do that 2 more times, which gives him a pretty good turn. Foxy Cleo's Molotov cocktail was a limited use 1. It gets discarded here. Okay. All right. Still Lunk's turn. All that happened on Lunk's turn. Lunk is not a guy to take this laying down. So that's 1, 2 he's moved. Let's see. He's going to go 3, and he's going to pick up the iron pipe because he needs a new weapon. That's a 2-handed weapon. That's the only one he can declare with. But Foxy Cleo doesn't have a weapon. This is good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That does get him in range. And Lunk's going to smash her with this pipe. Okay? Boom. Deals 4 flesh wounds. It's got a range of 2. And it would disarm her if she had a weapon, which meant that that weapon would be discarded. Let's see what Foxy Cleo can do. She can do some stuff, but these are pretty good cards, so she's going to wait. And she's going to take that damage like a champ, dude. Because 4 flesh wounds, it's not a health bar yet, and it doesn't debilitate her like a dismember would. So sometimes taking the damage is in your best interest. All right. Plus, if she was going to damage him, he would just absorb the damage anyway. All right. So he wants to hit her again. So he's going to play this card, Pon Fu. It's a melee card. Pon Fu cannot be countered. It has a range of 2, and it deals 3 flesh wounds. Well, Foxy Cleo's in for a penny, in for a pound. So again, she's going to take this because it's only 1 health bar. She's got 2 more. So she's got 7 health bars missing. So that's 1 and, almost halfway to her next one there. Okay. So that gives Lunk, that's successful now. It resolves successfully. This is discarded. We're going to put this little discard pile there. And then Lunk gets to reset his weapon because it was successful. Naturally, he's out of movement, so he's going to smash Foxy Cleo in the face again with an iron pipe. 4 flesh wounds coming at her. Now she's starting to think, to have second thoughts about this. This is 4 flesh wounds. That would remove her 2nd health bar, and that's not good. So Foxy Cleo is going to do something. She's going to play this card, Unfair Advantage. Has an infinite range. Target player's turn ends. Again, he's got a declared attack. That's a strategy. It doesn't counter it, but it resolves before it. So if his turn is over, he can't declare any attacks. That means his attack fails and his turn is over. Meaning his Iron Man is also done since that only lasted 1 turn. Okay? So that resolved successfully. Foxy Cleo got out of a tight spot. Now it's her turn. So Lunk's turn is over. And now Foxy Cleo gets to reset any character abilities or weapon cards, which aren't applicable here. And she gets to then draw 2 action cards. So if I was Foxy Cleo and Lunk had that stuff, I would want to draw 2 strategy cards right now because I don't know what he's got. And damn, that was a good draw. Woot! Okay. If I'm Foxy Cleo, I need a weapon. And the closest weapon is the syringe. So we're going to go over here. We're going to move 1 space out of her 5, and we're going to pick up that syringe. Okay? Now, this is a good time to note. We have a rule in Thunderpwn. It's in the rulebook. There's nothing stopping a player from attacking themselves with their own weapon. If for whatever reason that's beneficial to you, go ahead and do it. Sometimes there are very rare scenarios where it is beneficial, okay? This is one of those cases with the syringe. The syringe doesn't deal a lot of damage, but it does have 6 random effects. Again, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that or not, but I'm going to roll a d6 and see what happens, okay? It's great because we don't know what's in the syringe. So she's going to jam that sucker in her leg, pull the plunger down, and let's see what happens. There's 3 good effects and 3 bad effects. 6. Foxy Cleo got the best effect. She gets to draw 5 action cards. So maybe with some kind of amphetamine or something. She gets to draw 5 action cards, right? So this is limited use 1. She just stuck a syringe in her leg, and now she gets 5 more of these. And if I were her, good Lord, I mean, this is good. But honestly, I would probably pick, I don't know, man. She needs attacks. Let's draw 5 attacks here. So we're going to draw all 5 of those action cards as attacks. And we're only going to pick the best ones. So I get to complete, or Foxy Cleo gets to complete her full draw before then discarding down to 5. So, Lunk's immune to that. Lunk's immune to that. And that's a pretty good one. So let's do, let's keep this one. So we got 5 cards in our hand now, okay? And Foxy Cleo is jacked up on Mountain Dew and ready to rock and roll, baby. So, here we go. No weapon in her hand. She's just going to go for it. Here we go. She's going to play Ponjitsu. I'm sorry, it goes up here. Ponjitsu. Throw 3. That means she can relocate him 3 spaces in any direction. And we also steal an action card, but he's immune to that. And this attack cannot be countered, which means Lunk can only respond to this with his character ability, which he doesn't have, he has an attribute, or a strategy card. If Lunk has no strategy cards, which he doesn't, Lunk is getting thrown 3 spaces. And unless you're a fool, you're going to throw him 1, 2, 3 right into that pit. So here we go. Lunk's getting a roll. And he gets off extremely light. That's amazing. That's 3 flesh wounds. So even though she threw him into the pit, oh, and he also takes 1 flesh wound from the attack. He must have landed perfectly. So 1, 2, 3 from the pit, and then 1 from the attack. Not quite a health bar yet. But it's Foxy Cleo's turn. This resolves successfully, it's discarded. And Foxy Cleo has only moved 1 space, so she's going to go 2, 3, 4 and pick up the tire. That's going to go here. Cool. All right. Since Lunk's in the pit and she can't target him with anything, and she's sitting pretty, little damage, but so far the upper hand starting to change here. She's going to end her turn right there. Lunk's turn begins. Remember, if you're in the pit when your turn begins, you don't take extra damage. You take it if you're in the pit when your turn ends, okay? That's to prevent people from jumping in and saying, haha, you can't hit me for the rest of the round. Well, when your turn ends, you get to roll again, and sometimes that's enough to kill people. Okay, so Lunk gets to reset. Lunk gets to draw. And Lunk definitely wants 2 strategy cards here, because he's low on those. That kind of screwed him over not having those. And then Lunk's got to get out of this pit. So he's going to go 1 just to get out. And then assess what he wants to do. Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, since Foxy Cleo picked up all the weapons, she gets 3 more. Or on Lunk's turn, the next turn, 3 more are dealt out. So we got Brass Knuckles in this space. We got a Parking Meter in this space. And we got a Rusty Shiv over in this space. That's not bad. Now you can pick up a weapon at any time, and Foxy Cleo likes to look at that Rusty Shiv, so she's going to interrupt Lunk's turn and pick up that Rusty Shiv and dual wield a Rusty Shiv and a tire. You gotta love this game, dude. Alright. Back to Lunk's turn. Lunk is going to try and wreak havoc on this girl here. Okay, he's going to come straight out of Compton on her. If I was Lunk, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Lunk is going to say turnabout is fair play and throw this card Heave down. He's going to declare the strategy card Heave, which also throws Foxy Cleo 3 spaces. How ironic is that? What a great draw. The thing here that's different is this is a strategy, not an attack. She can't counter it. She can only play a strategy card that will affect that. And the only thing she can affect right now is how close she is to it. This has a range of 1. If she can get out of range of that with a strategy card, she wins. And she does have one. This is awesome. So she declares a giant leap. This is a great game. So Lunk tries to throw in the pit. Foxy Cleo goes no. Move to any space inside the arena. She giant leaps over to here, to this starting space. Since it's Philo, that's first in, that's last out. This is declared second, it resolves first, goes there, and then he fails because she's no longer in range. Impressive, Foxy Cleo, impressive. Now Lunk used all his movement to get over there, and he can't get back to her with any cards in his hand, and he can't reach her with a weapon, so he's going to end his turn. And Foxy Cleo is going to go next. So, she's got 3 cards. She's going to reset if she needed to. And you know what she's not going to do that yet. That'd be too crazy. Alright. So let's see. She's going to draw 2 melee cards here because she wants to do some damage. And those are alright melee cards. So I think what we're going to do is she's going to discard this one because it kind of sucks. The other one's good. And instead, she's going to use her ability to draw 1 action card, and she's going to draw again and see if she gets a better one. It's not that good, but it helps. Okay. Both of Foxy Cleo's weapons have a range of 1, which means she's got to close the distance on him if she wants to do some damage. And baby, she does. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. She's going to hit Lunk with the Rusty Shiv. That's 1 flesh wound. He'd discard 3, but he's immune. Lunk's going to come back and counter with an Iron Pipe. That's 4 flesh wounds. Foxy Cleo doesn't want to take that. She's going to hit Lunk with the Tire. That's a flesh wound, and it's going to knock him back 3 spaces. Lunk doesn't like that either. So Lunk is going to come back with a Chi Push. That's going to do 1 flesh wound and knock Foxy Cleo back 2 spaces. Foxy Cleo doesn't like that, so she's going to headbutt Lunk's ass. Which, that's pretty bold to headbutt Lunk. That does 1 flesh wound, and it's going to knock him back 1, and he's immune to disarm. So his Chi Push fails. But Lunk doesn't like that either. Lunk's not going to take that sitting down. He's going to Haymaker Foxy Cleo, and she's going to take 1 flesh wound and be thrown 1 space. And you know what? Foxy Cleo's all right with that. She's going to eat that. Boom. Lunk throws her one space away. That resolves successfully. No other attacks resolve successfully in that volley. Okay? But Foxy Cleo's turn is still on, and she still has one movement. And she's going to move right back over here. Now Lunk has only 2 strategy cards in his hand. Ooh, that's not good. And now that I know what's in his hand, I know he's about to die. So he can't move because it's not his turn. So Foxy Cleo is going to hit him with Massacre. That's 5 flesh wounds. And Lunk has to take it because I know what's in his hand. 1, that completes that. That's a health bar. 2, 3, 4, 5. That gives Foxy Cleo her weapons back. Boom, boom. Foxy Cleo is going to attack him with a rusty shiv. So we'll discard that. That one resolves successfully. That's a flesh wound, and he's going to have to discard 3, but he's immune to that. So he just takes the flesh wound. Boom. That's a health bar. The last card Foxy Cleo is going to use is Human Projectile. She's going to declare that. Again, Lunk has nothing that he can do. He can't counter it. He's got no abilities, and the 2 strategy cards in his hand don't help him right now. They'd help him on his next turn. That deals a mortal wound, and it throws him 7 spaces away. So she's going to pick him up, toss him into the pit again. He takes a mortal wound from the card, which means he's dead. And he's in the pit, which, you know, whenever someone rolls in the pit, we just like to see the damage anyway. So he's dead, but just for ceremony, he rolls a mortal wound, a dismembered arm, and a dismembered leg. And being Lunk, he would be immune to those dismembers. It pays to be a mutant. But nonetheless, he is still dead. Foxy Cleo is the victor, and that is the sample game of Thunderpwn, my friend. Thanks for watching. Alright, so just a couple of final thoughts about this game. As you can see, I love this game. It's still fun to play. And we have been enjoying it in Little Rock for years now. Our friends have helped us actually, refine the game quite a bit. And it's always a joy to play. So it's very well refined. It's very smooth. It plays very fun. And there are situations that we can never account for. And these situations you really want to fall back on the rulebook for. And if there is no resolution to them that is clear, which we think we've covered everything, there should be a resolution no matter how convoluted it might get with stacking strategy cards or like multiple attacks going on. There's a rule in here called Lord Nukor's rule. And it's right here at the bottom. And it states if any time there's a dispute of rules between 1 or more players that cannot be resolved through this rule book, those players will roll 1d6 and call odds or evens. Odds, the outcome favors one player, evens the other. And the gameplay continues for the moment, and players can revisit the scenario at a later date to make a permanent ruling if they choose to. This is an important rule that Josh wanted to put in here because we've created a functional infinity. Even though it's a closed system, no 2 games are ever going to be the same. And there are some things in this game that we have never accounted for. And if that happens and you can't find a resolution, use that rule. Rules served us well. And finally, I just wanted to say that we really hope from the bottom of our hearts that you have a lot of fun with this game. This game, I say it because I made it and it's real tacky, but really, it's years later and I still love playing this game. It's still new and fun every time I step in the arena, And we hope that you find that same sense of fun and that same sense of newness, and that you really enjoy this labor of love that has taken us a couple of years to complete, that truly is quite a joy, quite a joy. It's really fun ripping each other's arms and legs off and throwing them into spike pits. Well, there's the window into my soul. Thanks, guys. Have a good time. Please enjoy the game. Thanks for supporting it.